What's up, guys? It's the Players OG Pranks here. And I guess I just want to do something that everyone is doing. This is a Pendulum Magician deck, one of the meta decks of the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Format as of the time I'm uploading this, which is obviously April 2018. I guess in a way, I just kind of got bored, and I'm sure when Dan gets his True Draco deck, he'll probably make you guys a deck list for that. But to get started, oh boy, gotta be careful there. Don't want to pull off too many. So purple is extra deck, black main deck. So let's move this. 3 Astrograph Sorcerer, and by the way, this is not the FTK variant. This is just the regular Pendulum Magician. I am buying the cards to make the FTK variant, though. Beautiful card. I actually lost one of these. It was buried under my trading binder, believe it or not. So probably the best card in this deck, just because it's really good for getting Electromite out if you are running the FTK, which is always good. So I guess we'll leave it like this. 3 Chronograph Sorcerer. The only difference, because you can special summon these both from the hand if a monster died, so basically you'd want to, we'll talk about this later, but with this, you can special summon it and something, another Pendulum monster from your hand, I believe. Get this to focus here. Here, why don't we... know if you guys can read that. And I am running Zark in this deck, which is like my ace card. If I get that out, unless you've got an FTK, running Liraluskin, having Starving Venom, copying Nightingale, you're not getting past Zark. And then Astrograph, you can special summon it from your hand and then take, what is it? I think it's a monster from your graveyard and extra deck and add it to your hand. So you can basically chain Astrograph off of itself. So say you blow up another card in your Pendulum scale. Alright, and you happen to have, maybe off of Electromite and Astrograph in your extra deck. You can play Astrograph onto the field, and then you can bring back the other Astrograph from your extra deck, chain off that, and then play it onto the field. So you basically just thrown down 5,000 attack points in one turn, because Astrograph is a 2,500 beat stick. But yeah, Purple Poison. Its Pendulum scale is really nice. So 1 scale. I don't know if... I'm pretty sure you guys can read that. It's really good because you can blow it up and get 2 benefits out of it, especially if you have Astrograph in your, in your hand or on the field. Regardless, it's still a really nice card. You'll see these effects that, like, first effect for the monster effect, which is at the bottom of the 2 boxes here. It says it's always treated as a fusion monster. This is going to correspond, because you can use Astrograph and Chronograph to banish for the monsters in this deck to get Zark onto the field. The reason that this thing being counted as a fusion monster is so important, I will go over later. Alright. Three Black Fang. It's Pendulum effect. Kind of like Underclock Taker, which is one of the 2 link monsters that I run with this first variant. Have your opponent's attack until the end of turn, one of his monsters. Blow it up. Really nice. Good to have in the scale, good to have as a monster. Both effects are pretty good. Overall, just a good card. I'm pretty sure all of these are in ultra rare, by the way. Except for, I think, 2. Three harmonizing. It's basically... The lighting in here is terrible. Basically, if you Pendulum summon it, you get a free search off of it. Nothing too fancy, but always good if you want to get Electromite out. Throw in a material. You know, get as much material out before you Pendulum summon for the FTK. That's kind of what I'm preparing for. I actually have this app on my phone that allows me to playtest decks that I make on the app. So I'll show you the FTK because I made the FTK variant of this deck. Okay. Okay. We have a Time Gazer Magician, which is overall bad. It's one of the only commons that I have in this deck. For monsters, at least. It's the pendulum effects I found were kind of bad when I was playing up against this one guy using my other pendulum deck that runs 3 copies of Stargazer and 3 copies of Time Gazer. When you have so many different 1 in 8 scales, it's just, it doesn't really matter. I'm ordering the cards, you know, because I found this FTK material deck thing online on eBay, and the seller was very nice. I mean, like, he basically reserved his product for me, and I really do appreciate that of him. Maybe you'll see a Mythical Beast update to this deck. I don't know if I like Mythical Beast. I'm going to try it against my friend, who is basically teaching me Pendulum Magicians. He doesn't have Electromite, so his FTK deck isn't going to be as good, but this thing that I'm ordering comes with 2 Electromite, so I don't know if you can read that. Basically, you got that, you got Stargazer here. When they're in the scales, your opponent can activate spells or traps during battle phase. Alright, after that, 3 Darkworm. Darkworm is overall just a good card because I would say it's one of the less brickier cards in the deck because it gives you a free search for your 0 Infinity Gates, or, you know, Supreme King Gate cards, I guess. This is probably best to play, like, if you have a Harmonizing and a Foolish in your hand, you're golden, because you can... Oh, as well as scales. You can just Foolish Burial, Darkworm, Harmonizing. That's 3 materials, plus you've got an extra card in your hand, so I'm pretty sure you're going, what, +2 with that entire combo? So we run 3 Darkworm. Deck is very consistent. We run 2 Supreme King Gate Zeros. Also very good. They're shitty at first sight, but when you know what they're there for, it's honestly a really nice card. You can use it to clear up room. It's more used if you're running the FTK variant, but the 0 scale, the 13 scale is shit. You do not want the 13 scale. You don't want it on the field unless you're trying to clear some room, and you do. I mean, if you've got Darkworm in your scale, you can switch them out, but overall, it's actually really bad because you don't want it in your scale because you can't Pendulum summon unless you have no monsters on the field. So we run 2 zeros, and that's why we only run 1 Infinity. It's got a scale of 13. Okay. I mean, I guess it's okay. I haven't really watched the Yu-Gi-Oh series since Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, the original series. I haven't really seen any of the other... I mean, I think I saw a little bit of GX, but that's about it. Alright. We run... Because this isn't the FTK variant, you need to run certain cards in order to make this work. So we run 2 Wisdom Eye Magician. When I first saw this card, I thought it was shit because I opened up with it and I really didn't get the card, so I was breaking out really bad, but it's actually a really good card. It's basically a astrograph or chronograph because you can blow them up in your scale to get Stargazer or Time Gazer Magician, which are right there. Yeah, so, but you can search any Pendulum card and throw it in your scale, which is always really nice. We run 1 White Wing. It's basically a negate in your scale. You can negate any monster effect that's level 5 or higher, so once per turn. When an activated card or effect that targets a dark spellcaster type monster you control, negate the effect, then destroy it. Oh, I don't know where I'm getting the level 5 from. I must be thinking of another card. If this card is used for a Synchro Summon, banish it. It's a shitty effect, but White Wing, and then I wanted to run 2 Oath Dragon Magicians because since I don't really have, or I didn't really have, the Link monsters in order to special summon a lot of my, or Pendulum summon a lot from my face-up extra deck. I wanted to throw in more, but now that I have Zephyr Metaltron, it's kind of just become irrelevant. Oath Dragon's Pendulum effect just allows me to bring a face-up Pendulum monster from my face-up extra deck to my hand, which is always nice. I run 1. So, those are our monsters. So, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to put these up in an orderly fashion. Okay. Spells and traps. Foolish Burial, run at 1 because it's limited. So, in place, this is literally only for the Dark Worm. So, Foolish Burial has got some short text. Dark Worm, his monster effect, allows you to special summon him from the graveyard if you control no monsters. So, in place of the other 2 Foolish Burial, we've got a Dragon Shrine, add a Dark Worm to your graveyard. Special summon it, get one of your 0 or Infinity Keys. Mainly because I keep breaking out, I never get the spells that I need. I'm running 3 Duelist Alliance. So basically, I can get Star and Time Pendulum Graph, which you'll see pretty shortly. And then, whenever a card on my side of the field blows up, I get a free search. 2 free searches if I have both Star and Time. 2 Pendulum Call. Discard a card, search for 2 Magician Pendulum monsters. Always a good card. 2 Wavering Eyes. Good against the mirror match. Destroy as many Pendulum monsters in the scales as you can. If you destroy 1, 500 damage to your opponent. If you destroy 2, 500 damage to your opponent and a free search. Destroy 3. You can banish 1 card on the field after inflicting 500 damage to your opponent and searching a Pendulum monster from your main deck to hand. And 4, you can do all 3 of those things, plus search out another Wavering Eye. So you can go +2 if you destroy 2, so it kind of just evens itself out at the end. 2-star Pendulum Graph. It just means that your dark spellcaster monsters, or spellcaster type monsters you control, can't be the target of any spell effects. And whenever a magician pendulum card leaves the field, you get a free search. One monster reborn, Zacchaeus card in this deck. Summon something from your opponent's side of the field or your side of the field. So if he's got a really good card and you just manage to destroy it with a dark hole or something, which is the next card I'm about to show you, you can fuck him up with his own card. Dark hole, board wipe, both sides, destroy all monsters on the field. It's basically the Wrath of God of Yu-Gi-Oh! Wrath of God being a MTG card, which even though it's banned, I still run it in my main deck because I don't play competitively anymore. And then we run 2 Time Pendulum Graph. I can basically use Time Pendulum Graph to trigger both its effect and Star Pendulum Graph's effect. These are the only 2 traps that I run in this deck. Might not even have time for the extra deck. Yeah, blow up one of your monsters and destroy another card on the field. So those are spells and traps. Extra deck. Underclock Taker. Target a card that this points to. Subtract the attack of said card from the attack of, target monster opponent controls. Zephyr Metaltron. Not even going to go over its effect. I only use it because it has 3 arrows pointing down at my zones. Time Star protects my spells and traps. Whenever something on my field would be destroyed, I can just discard an Xyz material, get some material to my hand, and I can, instead of one of my cards being destroyed, I can destroy or send a monster from deck to graveyard. I don't really use this card. Basically a negate attack, I'm pretty sure. I run 2 of those. Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Discard 2 Xyz materials to half your opponent's attack. 2,500 attack on him. Okay. Perform Mage Trapeze Magician is basically you don't take any damage that's less than this thing's attack, which is pretty nice if you discard an Xyz material. Odd Eyes Absolute, good for getting Vortex. Negate the attack, or your opponent's attack becomes 0. This gains that much attack, so if Blue Eyes is attacking this, 3,000 attack, you can attach an Xyz material, and it becomes a 5,800 beater. Clear Wing, Synchro Summon it, wipe your opponent's board. I run 2 of those. Enlightenment Paladin, I love this card just for the fact that it basically just allows me to reuse my spells. Once per turn, I can return a spell to my hand. Vortex is just a negate. Starving Venom is part of the FTK. Copy anything on the field or graveyard, and it has piercing, so that's always nice. And then Zark, 4,000 beat stick, can't be targeted by card effects, and when it's destroyed, it goes to the scale. And what's really nice is that it negates everything, basically. So I tried to get all this in, so I'm sorry, but this is the end of the video. Bye, guys.